While the mutants attempt to unravel the globe-spanning conspiracy against them, Temper and Magik work to investigate a threat much closer to home. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of X-Men issue number 6 and find out together, shall we? So then, as we join the newest issue, it seems that a group of anti-mutant protesters have set up shop outside of the X-Men's brand new factory base, and Jesus Christ, that is a certain level of petty to come all the way to Alaska to protest. I mean, shit, man, not even the sun can be asked to come to Alaska sometimes. Quentin Quire watches the crowd and thinks to himself all the horrible things he could do to them using his psychic powers. In fact, he's so lost in thought he completely ends up missing that a little girl in the crowd flashes the Midnight M symbol, which in case you don't know is a special little hand signal that we've seen a bunch of times across all of these new From Ashes books. It's basically a way for lost and wayward mutants in the wild to recognize one another and offer assistance in times of need. Though this problem is going to have to be put on the back burner for a little bit, as Beast has called a meeting to go over everything they know right now about this brand new threat involving humans developing mutant powers later in life. So far, they've ran into 3 different instances, be it the Santiago 6 from the 4th Orchis School developing powers before ultimately slipping through the good guy's fingers, as well as their 2 new friends who the X-Men were able to save from dangerous situations, Jennifer the Fishwoman and the former San Francisco finance bro who can create amazing over-the-top illusions using only his mind. Also, in case you're wondering, these 2 basically just live at the factory now because they essentially have no lives to go home to. The mastermind behind these new mutants, and they argue about if they should actually call them new mutants or Homo Superior Nova, turns out to be none other than, well, Cassandra Nova, sister of Charles Xavier, who has seemingly managed to return from her exile in the prehistoric age thanks to a brand new evil anti-mutant group calling itself 3K, not to be confused with that other hate group that also just so happens to have 3 Ks in its name. Now basically all of this is information you would already know if you've been reading the book, but thankfully we do actually get something new, and that is basically despite Beast trying his hardest to run all sorts of tests, he's actually having a very hard time keeping up with this groundbreaking new era of super science, and there's actually a good reason for that, because if you remember, this Beast is actually new. He's not the old Beast who went mad with power as the spy master of X-Force. And honestly, it's just kind of nice for the book to actually address this fact, but again, this isn't actually what the book is about. You see, Magik ends up leaving the meeting only to be accosted by Temper. Temper wants Ileana's help to try and track down this little girl who might very well be in need, and hey, Magik is basically the team bus at this point, teleporting everybody around whether she likes it or not. Though, in a very fun bit of characterization, Magik is actually able to impress Temper right away by revealing that she's actually 100 times smarter than she lets on, by very astutely reminding Temper that this brand new incarnation of the X-Men is also currently fighting it out with One and the American government, and for all they know, this kid is some sort of elaborate trap. And if they're not very careful in dealing with this situation, it could quickly turn into a Waco-style disaster. Don't worry about finding the kid's address, though. Scott was sure to pull up in-depth and elaborate files on all the protesters outside the building today, which, you know, is just a little creepy, but hey. Now, as we learn, the little girl in question's name is Piper Rose, which, if I'm being serious, 100% sounds like a bad stage name, but I digress. Her mom is actually a true believer in the anti-mutant cause. She was the one actually leading the protest today, believing, thanks to all of the truth seeker videos that radicalized her online, that the mutant contagion is real. Also, A+ for connective tissue, the truth seekers are actually minor villains over in the NYX book, in case you haven't been reading that. Magik uses her power to put Piper's mom to sleep so that her and Temper could have the opportunity to talk to the girl. At first they think she might be scared and confused and not 100% sure if she actually is a mutant or not, but here's the thing, Piper is actually very, very sure she is a mutant. In fact, as she claims, she says she almost destroyed the entire town. How interesting. Now back at the factory, we see what passes for a danger room session in this part of the world, basically just Psylocke and Cyclops punching each other for practice. It's here that Hank actually opens up to Eric, of all people, saying that he fears that he might backslide, that there's no good reason why. If Beast had turned evil before, that he won't just break bad all over again. Magneto surprisingly supportive this whole issue, both of the brand new Nova mutants, but also of Beast swears that he'll never allow Hank to return to his darker ways, not so long as he and Cyclops have some say in the matter. I don't know if I want Magneto and Cyclops to be my sponsors when it comes to not turning into a villain. Let's look at Magneto's entire history, and let's look at the fact that Scott is also feeling the pull to the dark side right now. We're also reminded here in this issue, too, that the main reason Magneto's not getting up and doing stuff at the moment is because he's sick with some mysterious disease that Beast is actively trying to work to cure. In fact, it's implied that maybe everyone at the factory is sick right now? Okay. Once again, no solid answers because the book must jump again to the next thing. We see the X-Men cleaning up, and despite Beast having one hell of a crappy day, it does start to improve, as him and the fish woman Jennifer actually end up having something of a meet-cute moment while trying to put dishes away. Oh, I get it, opposites attract. He's fuzzy, she's scaly. It's also at this moment, too, Temper and Magik show back up with Piper. Cyclops is obviously a little pissed off. Hey, did you just kidnap a child and bring her back to our secret base? Only for the two girls to actually have one hell of a comeback saying, ah yes, that's right, the X-Men, we've always been big fans on parental consent, right? Everyone stopped us when we went looking for the Xavier School. But why is Piper right here, right now? Well, it's to end up dropping one hell of a major bomb. Not only does she claim that she is a mutant, that she almost destroyed the town, but also she is the reason that giant frozen sentinel we saw all the way back in issue 1 is there in the first place. Apparently it was part of something called the Iron Knight, but to learn what that's all about, we'll have to pick up the next issue. And so that was X-Men issue number 6, everybody, and overall I feel about this issue how I've kind of been feeling about the whole series. Mainly that there's a lot of fun ideas in this series, but overall it just can't seem to pick a lane. Beyond that, it's a team book, but everyone kind of ends up acting like individuals going off on their own little side missions, which, you know, maybe that's the point, that Scott isn't running as tight a ship as, say, Rogue is over in her series. Also, a big chunk of this issue is just Beast reiterating stuff that we as the reader should already know if we've been paying attention involving the New Mutants. There's also a ton of mystery boxing going on. What is the Iron Knight? Why is Magneto sick? And now as we enter the final part of this first arc with so little actually being explained, it just feels, well, kind of annoying as a reader. Again, not to sound like a broken record, but a lot of this is exactly why I dropped Jed MacKay's Avengers book. And it's honestly quite disappointing to see so many of the other X-Men books from the From Ashes era not only find their own footing, but their own unique identities, while the actual flagship book called X-Men is having such a hard time. Overall, I think I'd feel comfortable giving this one a 6 out of 10. Again, it's not a bad read, but it's certainly not my favorite X-Men book on the shelf right now. And overall, I wish this book would just figure itself out already so I could enjoy it more. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, you know, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.